It's because God is such a good Father that there's a Good Friday. And it's also because we aren't so good that there's a Good Friday. One of my favorite writers, Max Lucado, puts it like this in his book, He Chose the Nails. What would happen to the beast if the beauty hadn't appeared? You know the story. There was a time when his face was handsome and his palace pleasant. But that was before the curse, before the shadows fell on the castle of the prince, before the shadows fell on the heart of the prince. And when the darkness fell, he hid. Secluded in his castle, he left with glistening snout and curly tusk in a bad mood. But all that changed when the girl came. I wonder what would have happened to the beast if the beauty hadn't appeared. Better yet, what would have happened if she hadn't cared? Who would have blamed her if she hadn't? He was such a beast. Hairy, drooling, roaring, defying, and she was such a beauty, stunningly gorgeous, contagiously kind. If ever two people lived up to their names, didn't the beauty and the beast? Who would have blamed her if she hadn't cared? But she did care. And because the beauty loved the beast became more beautiful himself. The story's familiar not just because it's a fairy tale. It's familiar because it reminds us of ourselves. There is a beast within each of us. It wasn't always so. There was a time when humanity's face was beautiful and the palace pleasant. But that was before the curse, before the shadow fell across the Garden of Adam, before the shadow fell across the heart of Adam. And ever since the curse, we've been different, beastly, ugly, defiant, angry. We do things we know we shouldn't do and wonder why we did them. Now, I won't speak for you, but I've had occasions in which my beastly side has shown up. It showed up a few years ago. I was stopped at a red light, and as I looked ahead, I noticed that my lane was going to merge into the next lane. I was going to run out of lane, no problem, until a guy pulled up beside me. Then I realized that I had to beat him to that merging point, and I sat at the light like a drag racer waiting for the green, but I wasn't in a drag racing car. I was driving a Buick diesel. I got 700 miles to a tank of fuel, but it took you a while to get there. And I had to get ahead of him because I'm a pastor, and wherever I'm going, that's important. It had to be more important wherever he was going. I'm just not sure he knew that. And so the light turned green and I floored it. And when I floored it, my car smoked, not the tires, the exhaust. I put out a cloud of smoke, and I did that to help him know how important it was that I get ahead of him. But he didn't get that. In fact, we were right together, and I tried to speed up as best I could, and he would speed up with me, and then so I started to slow down, and then he slowed down. That's when I realized this guy's trying to run me off the road. And so I finally had to brake hard not to run out of pavement. Then I pulled in behind him. Now I told you, my car wasn't fast, but it had a loud horn. And I let him experience my horn. Loud, long, and the beast part of me just awakened. That's when I saw he had a bumper sticker. And the bumper sticker said, "Follow me to such and such a church." I wanted to follow him all right, but not to church. In fact, on a side note, if you're a Christian or a believer and you put a Christian bumper sticker on your car, or you have a fish on your trunk, you better drive like a Christian, which is why I don't happen to have a bumper sticker on my car or a fish symbol. All right, I admit I have a beastly side. What about you? If you're not sure, ask your family and friends. Do I have a beastly side? If they look down, you do. Or have you ever had issues, areas in your life in which you struggled and you battled to overcome them, and then you thought you did until they came back? And now the things you thought you had defeated are defeating you again. The Bible calls our beastly side sin. The Bible says Adam sinned, and when he sinned, it brought sin into the world, and we've all sinned. In fact, one writer says, if sin were blue, we'd be blue all over. We'd think blue thoughts, we'd bleed blue blood. There would not be a fragment of a second that our heart, mind, soul, spirit wasn't flooded in blue. In fact, we'd be so blue, we belong in a blue man group. or a blue woman group. But we don't have to stay beastly, and we don't have to stay blue. And that's what's coming up next.